Welcome back, Lightning with M5 listeners. I am your host, Jennifer Jensen, alongside
Staff Sergeant Stefan Alvarez.
It's October.
It's spooky season.
It is. I'm so excited. I've had seasonal depression, if you will, though, because I'm selling my house. So that means I can't decorate for Halloween. Oh, it makes me sad. It makes my kids sad. It's not a good time right now.
And you usually go all out with your decorations.
Yeah. I like to combat Universal's Halloween Horror Nights. I'm just throwing that out there. I'm the house that you drive by on the street and you're like, oh, okay, that's a little overkill. That's my house. Although there's 2 houses on my street this year that outdid me and I'm a little bitter.
Yeah, I get them next year.
Yeah, well, I'll be in a new house, so I'll have no competition. Yeah, that's what I like. You know, what movie is that from? Is that Clark Griswold, where he's like, they have to out-decorate? Or am I thinking of The Grinch? With that lady and her light gun?
I'm not sure.
Anyway, yeah, I love spooky season. And here at Tyndall, during spooky season / October, we have a couple of pretty good opportunities to get out of the house and feel the haunted season. The first being trunk or treat. You can bring the kiddos out to base. This year it's going to be held at Heritage Park, and they can trick or treat out of trunks. Some of the trunk ideas are really creative, actually. Mm-hmm. I took my kids last year. It was a pretty good time. It was really hot last year. Hopefully it's cooled off a little bit this year, but that is for the kiddos. And then one of our tenant units, Red Horse, they are hosting their annual haunted trail. Have you been there yet?
I haven't, no.
I want to go, but I've heard like it is the haunted attraction in PC, so I don't like crowds and lines. So like I want to go support them, but
that's kind of sad in a way that the local military base is like the only place that has a Halloween haunted attraction.
I went to one, I forget the name of it last year, but it was so random. It was like in a junkyard. Like it seemed like these people just got like, hey, let's do a haunted house, see what happens. It was a literal junkyard, but it scared me good. And I don't get scared easily. So they did pretty good. But I've heard great things about the haunted trail. And this year, instead of a 1-day extravaganza, they're doing 2 days, the 25th and the 26th. So you could take your kids to the trunk or treat and then drop them off with a sitter or take them with you. That's always amusing to watch your kids get the life scared out of them. I laugh at my kids when they get scared. I don't know about everybody else. But the 25th, 26th for the haunted trail from 7 to 11 p.m. I used to work in a haunted house, Alvarez.
That makes so much sense.
I started when I was 13, I believe. Because you had to have volunteer hours, right, when you got to high school to graduate. It was called community service.
Maybe for you, not for me.
Okay, well, I was a good person and a good human. Gave back to my community. But me giving back was working at that haunted house because we didn't get paid to do it. And I played the Exorcist girl most of the time. And I would have to like dribble out pea soup out of my mouth and like do this weird back bend that nobody else could do and like walk towards them as I did this back bend. It was great. And then I would scream and they would like run for the hills. It was fantastic. I loved it.
That's so on point for you. I'm not surprised at all.
You don't think it's funny though? Like watching videos on TikTok or online of people getting scared and their reactions?
Yeah, 100% is. Like all the times I've gone to Halloween Horror Nights.
Oh, I love Halloween.
That's like one of the best parts of seeing everybody else like scream and run away and get scared.
I love going to look at all the aesthetics of Halloween Horror Nights. But working in a haunted house, you know all the tricks and like the hidey holes, you know? So I walk through there unfazed while everybody in my party's like clawing at my back to like, oh, please help me. And I'm like sitting there laughing at them. That's weird, right? There's something wrong with me.
I mean, that's like the same kind of thing people do. Like, at least I like to do it when I go through a haunted trail or a haunted house. especially if it's like a busy one where, you're right behind the group in front of you.
Yeah.
I don't like getting spoilers for the haunted trails or haunted houses.
Yeah.
So I'll purposefully go slow.
Yeah.
So the group in front goes off and goes through the attraction or whatever. So you don't see all the different jump scares and everything that pops out. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I love it. I love all things Halloween. But away from spooky season. Also, and we swore we weren't going to talk about it, but we have to at least mention it because we know we're going to get at least 1 or 2 phone calls about it. Checkered flag is happening, everybody. Mm-hmm. It's okay. There's going to be a lot of jets. It's fine. We don't want to talk about it this episode. We literally do it every episode. We're done. We don't want to do it anymore. If you would like to learn more, please check out our social medias. We have Facebook and Instagram, letting you know all the latest and greatest about Checkered Flag. And spiel of Checkered Flag.
Sure.
Okay. October also is such a fun month, right? Brings hurricane season. This year was a little crazy, and we're still, don't get me wrong, we're not out of the woods yet because it's still October. But we were on the path for Hurricane Helene, and then Milton steered clear of our direction, but we were getting ready for impact with Helene. Sadly, we feel so bad for MacDill Air Force Base and everybody that was affected by the hurricane. But our team did so well being prepared and communicating, the evac situation and the HURCON statuses. But, it's a scary time, right?
It is, yeah. It was definitely 2 close calls because both of them were pretty significant hurricanes. So,
yeah. But our team, we go through the HURCON exercises all the time. So our EOC, our Emergency Operations Center, knows the appropriate protocol they need to follow in order to ensure that our base is working efficiently and getting the messages out to the public that need to get out. Also, I think Colonel Bergtholt did a great job letting everybody know the current status of the hurricane and what decisions were being made. So I thought that was fantastic. It's important that people understand that it's not solely Colonel Bergtholt making decisions for, thousands of people that are at Tyndall Air Force Base. Collectively, there is a team making that decision and using the data and the facts to ensure that we are making the best possible decision we can for our people and ensuring their safety. Knock on wood. Had one of those hit us? Please, come on, Mother Nature. Just let us finish this rebuild for the love of God. We have hurricane-graded buildings. Just let us test them out, let them be up first.
Well, don't let us test them out yet.
True.
Yeah.
Yes.
Let's get them all built, all fully, operational first. Then,
yes, then we'll be fine.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I just imagine all the delayed construction and everything comes with a hurricane sweeping through here.
I imagine, did you see the crane? I forget where it was, though, that, fell into the building because of Hurricane Milton. It, took out a whole skyscraper. I forget. It must have been in Tampa somewhere. But that's what I envision here. Because there's so many cranes right now. Mm-hmm. We're not going to talk about rebuild. We're not doing that. Because we talk about it every episode. Anyway, it was scary. Mother Nature's scary, right? Mm-hmm. But our leaders use data, not fear, to make those decisions that need to be made. October is also a bunch of different awareness months. Most recognizable is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, but the topic that we're going to be discussing later on after the intermission is Domestic Abuse Awareness Month. So to all of our listeners, this is your trigger warning. This episode will contain information and discussion about domestic abuse. Stick around We'll be right back.
This episode of Lightning Within 5 is brought to you by the 325th Fighter Wing Public Affairs Shop. For all the latest news, photos, videos, and more, check out our Facebook page, Instagram, and our official website at tyndall.af.mil.
Welcome back, Lightning Within 5 listeners. We are here with our two very special guests. They are from the 325th Integrated Resilience Office. It's a mouthful, I'm sorry. We have Miss Rebecca Gestrich, the Integrated Prevention Chief, and Miss Joanne Burgess, the Prevention Specialist. Welcome, ladies.
Hello.
Hello. Thank you so much for having us.
You're so welcome. Rebecca, you're actually like an avid listener of Lightning Within 5, correct?
I am. I always listen to it at least within a week of you guys releasing a new episode.
I love that. I love that. I actually had somebody stop me at the commissary the other day and they were like, hey, I know that voice. You're the lightning girl. And I was like, yep, thanks.
That's me.
Yeah. The very first time I ever met you, I don't know if you remember, but I was like, I know your voice. Oh my gosh. Yeah. You're the podcast person. And I was so excited to meet you in real life.
It's so weird because we think it's just some tiny podcast, but we actually have grown our listening audience quite a bit since we started this only last year, right, Alvarez? Yeah.
That's
so
awesome.
We're going 1 year strong. But anyway, let's get into it. So earlier, Alvarez and I talked about all things, October, it's our favorite month, but it's also a bunch of national celebration months or awareness months, right? We have breast cancer awareness, we have learning and development, disability, but the topic that you two are here to talk about is Domestic Abuse Awareness Month. So I know IRO is responsible for a plethora of things, but this is just one thing that falls under your hat, correct?
Correct, yeah.
Before we jump into that, Rebecca, tell them a little bit about yourself and what you do over at IRO and how you like it.
All right. So I actually moved here in 2015. So I'm a pre-Michael person. And, we just stood up the IRO office last year. So our office just hit our 1 year anniversary as well of being an actual office. And so our job is kind of all things prevention, right? So we're looking at child abuse, sexual assault, suicide, domestic violence, all those things. And we're trying to get kind of down to the nitty gritty and figure out how can we try to prevent this on our installation. It's that old adage of an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure, right? So it's a lot less costly to be on the preventative side rather than the reactive side.
Yeah.
And so I would say that's kind of our office in a nutshell, if you will. We're also responsible for things like deox, completion. We make sure every unit gets those done in a timely manner. We're also responsible for the resiliency training for the whole installation. Mm-hmm. We have the MRTs and the RTAs, which is the Master Resilience Trainers and the Resilient Training Assistants. It's our office that gets those people trained in hopes that they're actually going out into the units and utilizing those resiliency skills and tools we've given them to ensure the unit is staying resilient, which is needed more so now than ever with the change in ops tempo that we have coming upon us very soon.
We're also responsible. We partner with the SAPR office for the total force awareness training for suicide prevention and sexual assault prevention. So, it's a mutual relationship to make sure that gets done and everybody's trained up.
Yeah. And Joanne, you're new to this world. You were protocol.
I was, yes.
Man, this woman, y'all, if you don't know what protocol does, they make everything function on base. Like every event you go to, protocol is behind it. And this woman literally sweat, bled, and cried for this base. But now you are with IRO, and it seems like you're much more at ease and loving your life. Not to say that protocol was a bad gig, but you're a lot less stressed.
It's definitely different.
Yeah.
It's you're behind the scenes making sure you're taking care of the people so that they can do those successful events and be successful to the mission, right? So this actually takes me back to what I did when I was active duty, being retired. I was a religious affairs airman.
Yeah.
And so this is like almost back to the roots of taking care of people.
Yeah.
And it's a small world. My husband was also a religious affairs airman when he was active duty. Aww. So they actually, Joe and my husband knew each other from his very first duty station.
Oh,
so yeah,
it is a small Air Force, man. Like, I run into people all the time. I'm like, what? You're still around?
Yeah.
They're like, yeah, no, we couldn't leave, but you always end up finding somebody that you've clicked with in the past for some odd reason. But I love that, though. I love it.
It's absolutely amazing, and just how small it really is.
Rebecca, what made you want to go to the IRO? Do you have a deep down passion for assisting people in these situations, or, making sure that they're prepared? Get into that.
Yeah, totally. So the job before this, I was the casualty assistance officer here on Tyndall. It's a lot.
You are a fallen angel. I am convinced. Dang.
Yeah. Sorry, I didn't mean to leave you speechless.
No.
There's personal relation
there. Because our listeners, I don't think I've talked about this, Alvarez, but I am a Gold Star sister. So, the casualty officers that took care of me and my family during that time, godsends. Yeah. I don't know how they do that without losing their composure, without their heart pouring out to these families. So I commend you for doing that at all. That is a lot.
It definitely is. It's very heavy, and I'm very blessed with a very solid support system, which is, I think, the only way a casualty officer can survive that role. Yeah. And mortuary affairs, the same thing, right?
Yes.
Those jobs kind of almost leave you with serious PTSD just because of all the trauma you're constantly dealing with. Mm-hmm. We can't break down in front of families when they're having their moment. We're literally that shoulder for them to lean on during their worst possible moment in their lives. Yeah. And, thankfully, I've got an amazing husband that, he just knows exactly what I need and when I need it. Whether it's asking, forcing me to talk about things, or just, hey, you just need a hug right now, or you just need to go in the bedroom and give yourself some alone time.
Yeah.
So I'm so grateful. It was actually really hard for me to leave that job because I was so passionate about what I did.
Yeah.
But I'm really grateful to join the IRO team, because now, instead of just dealing with everything reactively, I can be proactive. Yes. And some of those deaths that I've dealt with, the ones that I feel like were truly preventable, that's my why. That's why I want to, why I'm so dedicated to this career field, is because I want to try to stop every single act of violence that is harming others or harming people themselves.
Yeah.
So.
No, I love that. Yeah. I love that. That's a great backstory, too. Since it's Domestic Abuse Awareness Month, IRO came about because this is a prevalent issue, correct?
Yeah.
We wouldn't have to create an entire office just for these prevention of things if this was not a consistent problem within the Air Force and DOD.
Right.
So, in your time in the IRO office, have you seen numbers decrease, or have you seen more people aware? How do you think you guys have set your mark here?
Yeah, so honestly, it's really kind of hard looking at the data, because data trends take a long time to truly see if something we're implementing is having that effect that we're looking for. All the things that we are doing are evidence-based. So the studies have already been concluded that show hey, this actually does impact, domestic violence, teen dating violence, suicide, whatever the cause may be that we're looking to get after. It shows us there's programs out there that show us exactly what is the best way to go forward to try and we try to make sure that it truly is integrated. So we're looking at domestic violence, but we're looking at those protective and risk factors. So a protective factor that may decrease the likelihood of domestic violence happening may also decrease the likelihood of teen dating violence or child abuse. So doing one activity could possibly raise our protective factors in multiple different forms of violence, as well as decrease our risk factors.
And protective factors are those things that, just as it says, right, is a protective factor that would potentially keep somebody from exploring those risks or exploring options that are detrimental to themselves or to others, such as connectedness, right?
Yeah.
Everybody wants to feel connected to somebody, or what their mission, their personal mission is, their why. So by enhancing or working to enhance those protected factors, For instance, we did in May, we did Elevate Expo.
Yeah.
That was to kind of, for mental health awareness month, to provide resources, not only to Team Tyndall, but to the dependents, the family members, that they may not realize what's available to them on the outside.
Yeah.
And then in September, we did
Tyndall Connects.
Tyndall Connects, right?
Yeah.
So that everybody finds their people.
Yeah.
You're in D&D. Hey, guess what? We got a D&D club.
Yeah.
You like Toastmasters? Come on over. Chaz will hook you right on up with the Toastmasters meeting, and to find your people, so that way you're not sitting in the dorms by yourself.
Yeah.
Doing things that that are detrimental to your mental health.
Yeah. And although we're worried about active duty members, we're also worried about their dependents.
Yes.
Right.
Family members.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And it is hard sometimes as a spouse. I could speak on this, like you PCS and you have to start all over again.
Your support network.
Yeah.
Has to start from scratch.
And it is especially hard when you have one base where you're like, this was awesome. This is my second family, and then you leave them. That is just heart-wrenching. And I know for me, after that happened to me, I got to my next base and I was like, I don't care. I don't need more friends. I'm fine on my own, but I wasn't. Yeah. Like, life happens and you definitely need that connectivity to feel supported and secure, and because your active duty member might not always be there because duty calls,
Well, and for you, Jen, being that your spouse is a first responder, typically you find like the firehouse is typically a very strong knit family.
Typically.
And that's what I was about to say,
Yeah.
typically. So, that makes it a little bit harder when when you're used to having that tight-knit family,
Yeah.
and then you're rolling into someplace that is not.
Okay.
I can tell you that in terms of domestic abuse, there's statistics out there that show that like 1 in 4 men and 1 in 3 women within their lifetime will experience some form of domestic violence.
Mm-hmm.
Like when Morgan shared that little fact with me, my mind was blown. I was like, holy smokes. Like if you think about that, like looking at the building we work out of, The Rock, the Resilience Operations Center with SAPR and Victims Council, that's two to three women in there. Yeah. And 1 guy in there that has possibly experienced domestic violence in their lifetime, just in our tiny little area.
Yeah.
And so when you just think about how prevalent it is, I think a lot of times when you're in the moment as a victim, you're not realizing, you're thinking this is just me. You're not thinking about how many other people this has possibly touched and affected.
Yes.
And there's a lot out there, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So we are, by the time this airs, it'll already have happened, but we have a 5K color run tomorrow for Domestic Violence Awareness Month, and it'll be over on Beacon Beach, and we're super excited to throw some color at people and have some fun out there. We're also all month long doing a supply drive for the local Salvation Army.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so, and we're doing all of this with the DAVA, the Domestic Abuse Victim Advocate on Tyndall. Her name is Morgan Beecher. Mm-hmm. And, when we do these awareness months, it's in collaboration with those entities that are the subject matter experts for that specific topic. Like February, we have teen dating violence coming up. So we'll be working with Mallory Gross, the school liaison officer.
Yeah.
So, just kind of making sure that we're helping the helping agencies as best as we can, because that's part of our job too, is the community action team, which is all the helping agencies on the installation.
Yeah.
We're making sure that everyone's kind of on the same page, and that we're not duplicating efforts, and that we're supporting each other in whatever endeavors we may be doing at that time.
Yeah.
Get more bang for our buck.
Yeah. No, I love that. I love that we're all collectively realizing like this is an issue, and we want to take charge and get ahead of it before it gets out of control. I love that. The teen thing threw me off because my daughter's about to be a teen, and I'm just in the back of my mind sitting here thinking, I wish somebody would put their hands on. That's the crazy part of my brain. But she could hold her own, though. She could hold her own.
She's got you for a mom, so I know.
So I know you are not the domestic violence people, correct? But if you were to give one piece of advice to either victims or people who feel like they could be teetering, on a volatile relationship, what would that advice be?
You're not alone. You're absolutely not alone. There are people to help you. Come to the IRO. We will, if we don't know the answer, we will help find the answer for you, or warm handoff, take you to the people that can best answer and best help you and get you where you need to be, and the resources to help you.
And if you're talking about like harming others or harming yourself,
right?
And if there's a child involved,
yes,
we are mandated reporters.
Yep.
But there are entities on this installation that do have 100% confidentiality, like the chaplain corps. You go talk to anybody over there. It doesn't have to be a chaplain. It could be one of the religious affairs airmen. They all have 100% confidentiality, which means no matter what crazy thing you tell them, they can't tell anybody.
Right.
So it's not going to hurt your career. It's not going to affect your spouse's career. You can go tell them anything, and they're going to make sure that you're getting the help and resources you need. And they don't care what your religious affiliation is.
Yeah.
You don't even have to be religious at all. They just want to make sure that you're getting the resources you need to take care of yourself and then those that you love.
Absolutely.
So, and there's lots of other helping agencies on base too. And I feel like all the community action team members, we kind of follow the no wrong door policy, right? So no matter who you show up to, if they're a helping agency, we're going to make sure that we get you to the right place that can best fit your needs. Or we can all dabble, and we all know just enough to be dangerous in regards to what all the helping agencies do. But, we're definitely not the subject matter experts. So if you come to us with a family advocacy related issue, we're going to get you over to the Med Group and talk to family advocacy.
And escort, and go over there with you, right? So you're not wandering the halls trying to figure out which door to go into.
Yeah.
It'll be a warm handoff. Hey, I'm Joanne. This is Jen. She would like to talk to you about some stuff that she's got going on. Once they take you back, would you like for me to wait? No? Yes? Okay. Got it.
Yeah.
That's what we're here for, is take care of people, take care of business.
I have found, so this is a little different. Well, is it though? So I have PTSD from my Iraq deployment, right? And for the longest time, I felt like, okay, if I don't talk about it, it'll go away. That is not the case. You know what I personally have found has helped me is talking about it like it's normal. Right? You normalized your situation. Like, the more people that you can relate to, whether it's another victim or if it's another person in a volatile relationship, if you talk to them and they're thinking the same thing that you're thinking, like, that just makes you feel like you're normal again.
The lived experience, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that validation that you're not alone and that somebody else has had a similar, if not almost the exact same experience as you.
Yes, and that you can make it to the other side. Like, things will get better.
Yeah.
And hearing how other people have overcome their obstacles makes it that much easier for you.
Right.
Personally, that has been my overall gold star for getting through PTSD.
And that part is hard too, because when you want to talk about it, people don't know how to react to what you're saying. They want to, oh no, kid gloves, here we go. What is she going to tell me? Because I don't know. But no, it's just a normal conversation.
Yeah.
And
if somebody feels comfortable telling you, you should feel comfortable listening.
Yep.
That's
absolutely,
active listening, like just letting them get it off their chest makes all the difference to a lot of people. I don't want to say everybody, because not everybody copes like that, right? But it does help. I mean, I went through several counseling sessions, I think.
Yeah.
Yes, ask for help, or just take a breath. Like, pause, take a breath, and evaluate the situation you're in, right?
Yeah. Well, and being mindful that when it comes like to domestic violence or child abuse or any of those abuse forms, right? It's not always physical.
Right.
We could be talking, like a lot of times it's very common to see like financial withholding. Like, you can't leave me because I hold all the purse strings here, right?
And I never thought of that.
Yeah, and like the mental side of things, of I'm being emotionally demeaning or undercutting to you. Gaslighting is a really good example. So it takes so many different forms.
Yeah.
And being mindful that just like abuse takes different forms, the result, the how to fix it for yourself, is also going to take different forms. So what worked for one person might not work for you.
Absolutely.
And that doesn't mean you're a failure if you tried what your best friend tried and it didn't work out for you.
Yeah.
That just means that we've got to find a different route for you to take. And there's so many different options out there.
Yeah, Military One Source, for example, for the uniform members, wonderful resource, right? And then for the civilians, we have the Employee Assistance Program, One Source on steroids for civilians.
Yeah.
And anybody that's living under your house, and you're under your roof. So,
well, and not even under your roof, because they helped me when my mom was in Oklahoma and Colorado, splitting her time between the two states. And they helped me when I was looking for resources to give to my mom.
Oh, wow.
So because basically kind of think of Employee Assistance Program is looking at what is, causing me to maybe not be 100% focused on my job and my mission. Mm-hmm. So if they can do the legwork for me by getting me a list of resources for, in-home assistance, medical assistance, to help my mother, then that might be beneficial to give me a list of resources that I need to pass along to her so she can kind of do all the footwork.
And she can get back to focusing on the mission, right?
Yeah.
So, it's
I love that.
Yeah.
Well, and both Military One Source and the Employee Assistance Program are 24/7. Yeah. They both have online resources that you can tap into anytime, and they also have those phone lines that you can call at any given time. So.
Yeah, we were in some training and they were briefing us on EAP, and the story that went along with that was, so Tyndall obviously got impacted by Hurricane Michael back in 2018, but it wasn't just Florida that got hit. It went all the way up through Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina, into Virginia. And there was a lady that outside Langley Air Force Base that had a tree fall over. And she wasn't necessarily the best of friends with her next door neighbor. A little contention there. Mm-hmm. And the civilian employee was trying to figure out how she was going to get this tree out of her yard. Mm-hmm. Somebody mentioned to her, well, call EAP and see what they can do for you, if they can, potentially help you with a tree removal company or something.
Yeah.
She made that phone call. Within 24 hours, she had the tree pulled out of her yard. And the next door neighbor is knocking on their door going, knock, knock, knock. Hey, friend.
He wasn't mad about a tree.
Can you share how you got the tree? Can I have that number? She's like, what number? I'm sorry. I don't know what you're talking about.
No, you cannot. You're not in the cool kid club.
Yeah. You're not in the circle of trust. Sorry, go away.
That's crazy.
But, I mean, those are the kinds of things that, you ask and they're going to provide tenfold.
Yeah, you never know until you try, right?
Right?
Yeah.
Well, and in that specific scenario, it didn't cost her anything. I mean, how cool is that
amazing.
to be able to get tree removal service after
really
a storm?
too.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So, I mean, the worst they can tell you is, sorry, we can't assist you with this. But I mean, literally, they will give you tell them the issue, they're going to do the legwork. Like one person I know, they were looking for a counselor for their husband.
Yeah.
And they said, my husband only wants to talk to another male.
Yeah.
So, okay, normally they give you, here's the list of resources in your local area that you can reach out to, and virtual options too. They went and they dwindled it down for her. Here's the list of only male counselors in your location. So, I mean, they literally do the hard work for you. And you just have to pick up a phone call and make the appointment.
Yeah, the answer is always going to be no if you never ask, right?
Right.
So,
yeah. I'm 100% going to use this for something. I wonder if they could sell my house for me.
They might be able to. Tutoring for the kids.
Yeah.
I mean, there's all kinds of.
Oh, man.
I think if you can dream it, they could probably help you with it.
So, getting back on our topic of Domestic Abuse Awareness Month, what, in your opinion, I mean, you guys have been through so much training, right, for this. So, what is like a scenario that somebody wouldn't typically think is categorized under abuse? Like, I know you mentioned the financial, like purse strings kind of situation, but is there something else that you think like happens frequently, but people don't really think like, oh, that's abuse?
I mean, something that immediately comes to mind with, especially in regards to like domestic violence, is a lot of times people think like, oh, we're married, so sex is automatic.
Yeah.
Like one partner might say like, you owe this to me because we're married. So like, you can't say no.
Yeah.
And so a lot of times, well, I don't want to say a lot of times, but there are instances where, sexual assault, rape does happen in a domestic violence situation because they're using that.
Yeah.
They think they're entitled to it, and so they're taking it. And so sometimes people might think like, oh, we're married. He's he or she is allowed to have sex with me. But you still, even though you're married, you can still say no. You can say not tonight.
Yeah.
So I think that's probably one that a lot of people maybe forget or overlook.
Yeah.
Because they don't think about people maybe holding that over.
Right.
A partner. I will say too, there's so many different resources out there. It's sometimes tricky to remember which one do I need or what's their phone number. At Tyndall, we've made it super easy. We have a phone tree that you can call. It's 850-283-CARE, C-A-R-E. You call that number and it will literally get you connected to all the helping agencies on the installation.
All right, that about wraps it up for this episode. Rebecca, Joanne, thank you so much for joining us. This was such a deep down important episode to do for Domestic Abuse Awareness Month. So we thank you for coming in and talking to us, and we hope that the information that you have passed on helps everybody listening.
Thanks for having us.
Yes, thank you so much.